I think you captured the spirit of everybody out there that is a Met fan, as did the guys in the afternoon, as did the overnight people here. And, we get to wake up this morning, and, we've been digesting this now for about 12 hours, right? Maybe a little bit longer than that. And it has just been, it's exactly what we needed. We as Met fans, let's be selfish for a second.
Sure.
We came in here yesterday. We were miserable. We had opened the show with what happened down at the Capitol, and everybody was down, and everybody was negative, and it just didn't feel right. So we needed something. We needed a gift. We needed something to get our attention away from all of that negativity, and finally have some, something positive to look forward to. And not only is it positive, we actually got maybe the happiest guy in baseball coming to wear a Met uniform. This guy is Mr. Smile. This guy is he's charismatic. He's everything that a Met fan would want. He improves your defense. He makes the players around him better. He hits for power. He hits for average. He knows how to run the bases exceptionally well. He's a catalyst. He's going to probably bat third in the lineup. So now all we have to do is add George Springer, and then he could take over center field for Nimmo, and Nimmo could be the guy that plays all the multiple positions. And, as much as I still want DJ LeMahieu and George Springer, I have to tell you, the fact that Carrasco came over in this trade as well is a big part of this deal. Now, the first thing I said, are they announcing a contract extension with Lindor? That's the first thing that I said. I was like, okay, great. Now they're going to sign him to an extension. And then, of course, Sandy Alderson comes on a little bit later, and he's talking about it, and he says, we know who we have. We know that we added a pitcher, which is good because they have him for 2 years of control. And now we have to just figure out and hopefully get a deal done with Lindor as they move on. So this will be a great trade once they sign an extension with Francisco. But this morning when we wake up, we know that when the season starts, we do have a top 5 player in baseball, and there is no question about it. His stats, so I was checking every place out last night just to see all the different experts talking about this guy and how he's going to fit in with the Mets and what this is going to do for Steve Cohen's credibility with the Met fan. This is exactly what we have all been talking about. And, the moment that he hired Sandy Alderson, and Sandy Alderson was going to be placed as the president of the Mets, and they were going to have money to spend. And then they bring in Jared Porter, and I'm watching these two guys give their Zoom conferences after it yesterday without this damn thing leaking beforehand, by the way. None of this leaked beforehand. So this is like such a different path. It's like a professional path.
Sure.
Like we're here now.
Well,
and we have arrived.
I got something for you.
Uh-oh.
If I were sharper,
yes,
I could have leaked this before it was announced. I'll tell you why. But I'm not sharp enough. So, obviously, Steve Cohen knew what was going on with the show. He had tweeted Al back.
You knew that you were on the hunger strike, yes.
He knew that I was on the hunger strike.
100%.
He knew I wasn't eating until a big name was coming to the Mets. Now, I had said the Mets sign a big name.
Did you sleep in that jersey, by the way?
I did. Yes, it looks like it, doesn't it?
Yes,
woke right up. Yes, I put it on yesterday.
I saw you had it on yesterday.
I had it on yesterday
for the video. You did your hot oven mid-take on the whole thing.
No, I did not do a hot oven mid-take on the whole thing. Did you watch it?
You gave a response. It was a hot oven mid-take.
I did not. It was not a hot oven mid-take at all. How about watching the video before you assume what it is?
I thought it was a good take on things.
It wasn't a take on anything. All it was saying that the hunger strike worked and I ate some salami. That's what happened. So it was not even a sports take.
But you were in your Mets uniform.
I was in my Mets jersey. You haven't worn your
Mets uniform, and now here you are.
Right. So I didn't
running some.
I didn't take it off.
Yeah.
So he knew what was going on. So yesterday, right after our Chernoff meeting happens, I look down at my phone, and I've got a message on Twitter, direct message. So I look at the direct message. Now, this is about 10:45.
Yeah.
10:45 in the morning. All right, this deal was, afternoon, maybe 12:45.
A couple hours later, yeah.
A couple hours later. 10:45, I look at a direct message on Twitter. Guess who that direct message is from?
Steve Cohen.
Steve Cohen. Steve Cohen sends me a message, says, what qualifies as a signing? So if I am just a little bit sharper, to what qualifies as a signing, by the way, to end your hunger strike, right? So I explained to him, listen, I went 36 hours. I stopped. I couldn't do it. I wasn't cut out for it. But really, I was talking about signing one of the big names like Bauer, Springer, LeMahieu. That's what I was talking about.
Right.
So if I had just been a little bit sharper and said, why? You got news? If I just said that instead, I might have had it. But no, he was toying with me yesterday.
Yes, he was.
The great Steve Cohen was toying with me yesterday.
Right.
When he said, what qualifies as a signing? So then, he doesn't say it, doesn't say anything, by the way.
Right.
Did not tell me about it.
Right.
Just said that, just to toy with me, and to see if I was sharp enough, and I wasn't. And then a couple hours later, the news comes out. Bing. Another message comes in. Steve Cohen.
Yeah, what does he say this time?
He said, so he was that on the air, Eddie? I just heard something. It was very strange.
It should not have been.
Okay.
I didn't hear anything.
Okay, good, because I was hearing Eddie talking.
All right,
and it was
okay.
okay.
You know what? I hit the wrong talkback button, so
All right,
it was in your
good.
ear.
Just making sure.
All right.
So I get another message after the news breaks. Steve Cohen again, and he goes, "Well, not a signing." Just to mess with me again.
It's an acquisition is what it is.
It's an acquisition.
Yes.
It will be a signing at some point. And by the way, that Steve Cohen stuff that yesterday, when he was having fun with this thing, made my experience personally that much better in all of this. Now, I wouldn't normally share a direct message. The reason I'm doing that is because he's a Mets fan. I'm a Mets fan. He's paying attention to the show, and he loved the fact that this was going on yesterday. So he didn't just love it from the standpoint of, hey, the team that I just bought is getting better, because that's the obvious one. He also loved it in the fact that he's a fan, and he saw how happy it made everybody else. He knew that I was talking about it, you were talking about it on the air, and he wanted to share in that joy. So it was just absolutely tremendous, the whole thing yesterday. I mean, to not actually win a game or win a series or win a championship and to see that much joy out of the fan base, there's not a lot of moments like that where everybody is that joyous and it's not attached to a win. But what the Met fan had gone through for many years, the anticipation of Steve Cohen taking over and what it could mean, and a culmination moment like you had yesterday afternoon brought out so much happiness in this fan base that's been angry, that's been dormant, that's been frustrated, and it was great. It was a celebration.
That's right. And you know, the other thing, too, here is, remember, he's also trying to rebuild or, you know, add on to a brand that has been down since 2015. There's no question about that. And there's been a lot of things that have gone on around here, and you know, and you could point fingers at whatever you want. We're now in a new era. We're starting over, and we're starting over relatively quickly when you think about how quickly the sale went down. It had to be done before 2020 was over. He was, you know, basically announced as the owner, and now here we are. And he's already made two other acquisitions, signed Noah Syndergaard, brought back Stroman. Well, that was more on Stroman because he had the player option, and now he's acquired these two players. And he gave up some, you know, Ahmed Rosario, who I appreciate what he wrote yesterday on Twitter on his way out, or on Instagram. I also appreciate, you know, the fact that they had to give up a few prospects. I would like to stay away from this type of thing, but this kid is such a special player, and to add a picture of Carrasco's, you know, his reputation, his resume, those are two big needs that were filled from an offensive standpoint, and from a defensive standpoint, and from a pitching standpoint. You know, and now you add a center fielder, and hopefully that will be the next thing. You have basically retooled this whole team from a defensive standpoint and from an offensive standpoint. So this, you know, it's a great day to be a Met fan. It really, truly is, because it's kind of come to fruition. And I know that there are always going to be the cynics. There are always going to be the other fans from the other teams that are going to be taking shots at Met fans as things aren't happening and this and all this other crap. But this guy, just in the stroke of about 3 months, has totally transformed this franchise now to a big market team. And this is no joke. And like I said earlier on, I believe that their recipe is going to be to try to emulate what the Dodgers have done.
And they did exactly what the Mookie Betts deal was. Exactly that. Now, the next thing is the big contract. Now, I understand what you're saying, and the point being that you can go out and you can sign somebody, and you don't have to give up prospects. With Lindor and Carrasco, what you're doing is you're giving up players and you're giving up money, and the deal has not been signed with Lindor, and that's going to cost you. But there wasn't a guy like Francisco Lindor available as a free agent this year. And the point is trying to get the best players. And I have no fear, as you brought up before you wanted to hear an extension announced, and I think that's your old PTSD from the Wilpons. Like, wait a second, you can't now trade this guy, trade away assets, and then let him walk in free agency because someone else is going to offer him more. Let me tell you, no one's offering him more. So you don't have to worry about that at all.
They'll get a draft pick back if they lose him, but they're not going to lose him. They're going to sign him to a contract. There's no question about it in my mind that Sandy Alderson and Jared Porter will sign him to an extension. I mean, you don't make a trade like this without talking to the agent. Maybe they didn't talk to the agent. Maybe that's one of the reasons why it wasn't leaked. That could be the case. But I'm hoping that they actually had conversations with the agent, that the Indians allowed them to do this. And, everybody's screaming and yelling about the Indians and what they got in return for this and all this other stuff. You have to remember, they also took on Carrasco's salary.
Yep.
And the Indians were trying to cut their budget. And I totally understand that the Indians have managed the way that they do business over the last 10 years about as well as anybody in baseball. It reminds me of when Lou Lamoriello was running the Devils. You did more with less. I know Sandy Alderson did more with less when he first took over this place and actually got the Mets to the World Series, which is really, truly amazing. Now he's Sandy Alderson on steroids. You know what I mean? Because he's got cash and he's got money and he's making deals. And this deal is going to turn out to be, hopefully, the deal that begins an era of successful baseball where Met fans can be really, really confident that every year, just like the Yankees have been, we are going to be in the mix, because that's all you can ask for. Just get us in the mix, and then you can make trades at the trading deadline to enhance your baseball team. You could do some signings of free agents. I'm telling you, I still think George Springer fits this team perfectly.
Yeah. Well,
and I don't want to get on to the next thing because I want to celebrate this thing.
Right. Just a couple things on that. One, fitting under the luxury tax, which for every team is something that is in the back of their minds. Now, I don't know if Steve Cohen is just going to say, blow right through it, I don't care, or he's going to be mindful of it in his first year. But it is something that's in the back of the minds of every single team, that luxury tax, because they don't want to have to pay it if they don't have to. They still have space to be able to maneuver under it to bring in Springer, but it's going to be very, very close. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, I believe that the leverage now is firmly with the Mets for a couple of reasons. One, they went out and got their superstar of the offseason in Lindor already. He's already on the roster.
Don't forget about Carrasco, I'm telling you.
No, I know, but you know what I'm saying. I'm talking in regards to Springer.
Okay.
So they got their superstar, and the superstar in this deal is Lindor. I mean, Carrasco's going to help out the rotation, but let's get real.
He's like the Altuve now for the Mets.
I mean, Lindor is the guy. I mean, he is, we're talking about him being the face of the team. So he is the superstar. So they got their superstar in the fold. So they don't have to. They're not as thirsty for it. Like, I'm not doing the hunger strike anymore because there's nobody here yet.
I got an idea.
So Springer is probably thinking, oh, man, who else is going to pay me? Like, who is it going to be, the Blue Jays? Like, who else is going to pay me? It might be the Mets are probably going to be the only team that gets close to what I'm asking for because they got the money. I think the leverage is right with the Mets right now.
And plus, he's a hometown kid, Avon, Connecticut. Here's the thing. I think you threaten to cut the mullet.
No way. No.
The mullet is such a big deal.
No.
This whole hunger strike, the impetus to the whole thing and all that other stuff.
I'm not ready.
I mean, and here's the thing, what Steve Cohen has already done for the Mets.
Yeah.
So for years and years and years, we would come in here and we would start with a negative about the Mets. Whether it be Cespedes falling in a hole and breaking his ankle, or whether it be some other stupid thing that was happened, or another Tommy John surgery,
it's been a long time,
or Syndergaard, coming back as Thor and thinking that he was going to be in a weightlifting contest. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you, from Mickey Callaway to all the nonsense in between, to Brody Van Wagenen and everything else.
Cano.
I mean, my God, Edwin Diaz just blowing up save after save after save his first year here. There was so much negativity. Just in the time that Steve Cohen has bought this team to this morning, It has been nothing but just total, like full-on, pedal to the metal, positive. Everybody feels great about the team.
Euphoric. Yep.
So he is basically, in 3 months, reignited the fan base. Think about that for a second. Think about how tough that is. You know, Jim Dolan has been trying to do this for 20 years. Trying to do it for 20 years. And has been unable to do it. Now, maybe the Knicks, now with the young team and the way they're playing with Tom Thibodeau, maybe they're starting to get it right. But this owner, with this is how you use your money. This is how we all expected the richest owner in sports to come in and use his money to create a team and to create an excitement around a team and rebuild the brand, because that's exactly what he's doing.
And the timing is perfect for him because, he wasn't around last year. He wasn't watching the team lose money in the pandemic and struggling with that. He came in with his fresh, very large sum of money into this thing, and he's in a different situation than a lot of these owners. So people could say it's sad for Major League Baseball, like a team like Cleveland couldn't keep their superstar. We've seen this happen in baseball year after year after year. The Mets have been down. They've been in financial situations that haven't reflected the market that they're in, and now Steve Cohen is here, and he's trying to make it right. So I'm not going to cry any tears for small market baseball today. We have been through hell over the last number of years, the Madoff thing and the Wilpons and where this organization is. So today is a celebratory day if you are a Mets fan.
And by the way, I'm sure that other owners probably made some money in 2020, but it was reported that Steve Cohen did pocket a cool $1.6 billion of his own money through his .72 asset management company. So he obviously knows what he's doing. Maybe got into some Bitcoin. Who knows? But the thing is that again, for me, I just look at it from a Met perspective, a Met fan perspective. Somebody that's been around here for as long as I've been and watching all of this. There's nothing better than when teams like the Mets, the Yankees, or any of these teams around here are involved. We saw what the Islanders did in the bubble and how excited people got about, a sport that they don't really watch.
Oh, wow. Boomer weaved hockey into this conversation.
Right? Am I right?
Yeah.
So when the Giants went on the 2 Super Bowl runs.
Yeah.
I mean, I got Craig walking across the Brooklyn Bridge in a freaking Speedo, for God's sake.
That's right.
I mean, so the point is now, all of a sudden, the Met fan is no longer in the depths of despair. We actually feel like we have a chance when the season gets ready to get started. Now, when is the season going to get started? That's going to be interesting because I do know, and we'll be quick here, I know the owners are going to want to move the spring training back. They're not going to want to start in February. They're probably going to want to start in March. They want to have a condensed season. I know the players want to get paid for a full season, and maybe the DH in the NL is a negotiating point or whatever. But, man, I'll tell you what, if we get the DH in the NL now all things are like lining up for the old Mets.
Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports.
Met Nation.
Yeah.
I don't know where you got that from, Eddie, but it sounds about right.
Sounds like your mouth is where you got it from.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the red bell so you're notified when we have new content.